Hello, everyone. Hope all of you are doing well today. A warm welcome to all of you. Often, people think that for someone who is alone and doesn't have much responsibility, it is easy to meditate. But what about those who have a family, who have responsibilities, commitments? Is it possible for them to meditate too? Well, it is very much possible. We have had many sessions in the past where one individual speaker has been on this platform and shared with us their wisdom. This session is a little different. Topic of today's conversation is ancient wisdom, modern living. And we have among us a dynamic couple, Girish and Meelu Wadhwani, who most of you are familiar with. And for those who are not, I shall briefly introduce them. Girish was born in Mumbai, studied mechanical engineering, is a businessman, and a trustee of Brahmakumari's UK for more than 30 years now. His hobbies include meditation, singing, and producing music. Together with him today is his wife, Meelu Wadhwani. She was born in Indonesia and is multi-talented. She's the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Murli Tolani. Meelu is a meditator and also a Raj Yoga meditation teacher. She is also a laughter yoga expert and holistic life coach. Meelu always makes it a point whenever she's visiting her family in Jakarta to take time out to share her wisdom on various topics. The list is endless, but I shall stop here. And now welcome Girish and Meelu. Good afternoon.
Om Shanti, and thank you, Jabin, for such a sweet and elaborate introduction. And today, a lot of people are streaming in, and we have the sisters and the Raj Yoga Center in Jakarta with Sister Sarah, and then Sister Justin, and then, of course, we have people tuning in from Mumbai centers in the Raj Yoga, Shobha Ben Center, Didi Nalini's Center, Nikunj Brother, and we have Singapore, we have Hong Kong, all our friends from my classmates from Jakarta. Everyone is so excited. So this is a wonderful platform that you have put across, Jabin, that has been so beneficial for everyone. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. You did not even give it a second thought. Both of you just accepted this platform, which is wonderful. I'm sure you must be missing your family in Jakarta and also Meelu, the Indonesian delicacies. But hopefully we will see you soon in Jakarta, both of you. So for today's session, before we begin, I would just like to request some of you who are present today who maybe can just drop a message. If it's audible and everything is fine, you can hear us clearly. Just a message just to make sure. Even from YouTube, is everything audible? Yes, it's clear. Okay, so we have a go ahead now. So we have some questions that have been prepared. And Meelu, can I start with you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So my first question is, you discovered Raj Yoga meditation in Lagos, Nigeria. What touched you the most to make you walk on this path of spirituality?
Can you get the screen? Are you on? Is the screen on her name now, or?
She's on the screen right now.
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Yes, I discovered Raj Yoga meditation in Lagos, Nigeria. I wasn't looking for meditation. I was very already spiritually inclined. I used to worship many, deities and visit many temples and go to a lot of gurus. And I wasn't really searching, but we had had a massive robbery at that time in Nigeria, and it was a great shock to our system. And so a friend of mine visited me and told me that you are in great shock. I think you need to meditate. So I said, no, I'm very happy with my gods and goddesses and with all my spiritual path. I don't need to add meditation more in my life. And she said, Meelu, try it. So at that time, the Sister Reva had just come in from London and opened up the Raj Yoga Center there. When I met her with my friend, and it was a huge classroom in a temple, I was completely drawn by her simplicity. And also at the same time, she spoke so beautifully. There were a couple of things that she mentioned in that session that totally changed entirely my pattern of thinking. One of them was that the soul and body was separate, and it was a question of horse and carriage, and how much time we spend in beautifying the carriage, which is the body, filling in a lot of possessions in our carriage, hoping it would find and give us happiness. When all along, the horse, which is the mind, which is the soul, was completely ignored. So if we looked after that aspect, then everything else will fall into place. I thought that nobody explained that before. And then I also liked their karma philosophy. And it taught me that karma is not just punishment. Karma is actually very rewarding. So if you have made mistakes and you're unhappy in your life, or if you done something wrong, you can actually atone for it, or you can change your karma so that you can then, get a better reward and happiness. So these simple things absolutely changed my entire pattern of thinking. But more than anything else, when I began meditation, I had the most divine experience. The experience was so powerful, it was like a magnet. And I had never experienced such tremendous love in that meditation. And that was a love which I felt very different from the love of a husband or the child to a mother or from my parents. It was very, very powerful. And I said to myself at that time, are you who I think you are? And if you are, then I absolutely want to stay in this love for a very long time. After I came out of that meditation, I felt some kind of awakening. So I mentioned to Girish, I said, we eat meat at home and we have alcohol at home and we have cigarettes, because both of us used to smoke from our college days. I told him, I said, I can no longer do this. And he said, oh, no, you will come back. You love fish too much. And you are from Indonesia. You love these things. You will. But then I never went back to it. So clearly, these were the three things: the experience of the divine, the karma philosophy, and the understanding of the horse and carriage, that you are a soul in a body. So that was how I came into meditation.
Thank you, Meelu. What about you, Girish? What inspired you to join Raj Yoga, and who was the inspirational role behind this decision?
Thank you for organizing this event. Welcome to everyone who's joining this event today. Very pleased to see a lot of known faces who are joining from all over the world. Well, for me, the most important, you could say the first thing which attracted me towards Raj Yoga was the love which was shown by whoever I met in the Raj Yoga Center. And the love was completely selfless, and it touched me so much that I always felt like coming there, because they always appreciated you when you came there. And the second thing which I really enjoyed and I liked was the simple lifestyle. It was very simple, very basic, and it made us remind us of our olden days, or how people normally used to live, without all the excesses which we have got used to in the modern day world. So apart from the lifestyle, the simplicity, of course, the third best thing, as you know, Sindhis love food, and for me, my food was my weakness. And Sister Riva, who is really our mother in Gyan. So,
So yeah, Girish is remembering those days, Reva Ben, who really, really looked after him. And, we were the first couple at that time. And so I would tell Girish, why don't you come for meditation? And he loved the particular food that the sisters used to make every Thursday. So he and his partner in the office, Jay Changrani, and his wife, Jay, who are both also very much in Gyan and our colleagues, they started coming and they started adopting this as a lifestyle. So it was incredible, Jabin. So it was incredible.
So what I was saying was that we love chole bhature, and she was a specialist in making chole bhature. So this was the first love which we received from her. And of course, then there was the knowledge which was very clear. The karma philosophy touched me quite a lot. And of course, the clarity of the deities. And of course, then there was music, because each of the songs which were there had lyrics which had a lot of meaning, and it actually revealed the whole knowledge of the Gita. For we moved to London.
I think we are having a technical difficulty here, so please bear with us. I'm sure they will be back very soon with us, so just bear with us. Yes.
Something went wrong with the connections? Yes, something went wrong with the connections. Okay.
Yes, this always happens, yes.
Okay. So I was saying that Radha Janaki was the role model for me, and she would only look at all the positive aspects of everyone who came in front of her. So this way she gave a lot of attention to all the positives she saw in everyone, not only in me. It was everyone who came in contact with her felt this, and with this she could bring out the best among everyone who came to see her. So this has been my experience, that she was the second mother we had.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you so much. Meelu, I'm going to come back to you now. Could you tell us what changes did you adopt in your daily discipline to accommodate meditation as a lifestyle? How did your children, family, and friends react to these changes?
Wow. Yes, it did bring about a lot of changes for sure. My children were very young at that time. They were very, very young at that time. We were a young couple in our early 30s, I think, at that time. And when we moved to London, or when we saw Dadi Janki, who is literally our mentor, and Dadi, of course, left her body 27th of March at the age of 104. I remember the first time I went from Nigeria to London to meet with her as the head of the Brahma Kumaris in outside India. At that time, she was in her 80s, I think, because it's been 30 years for us. And she was sitting there, and it was a Thursday, and she asked all of us, we were a group of mothers and families meeting her Thursdays, and then she asked all of us, how would you like to be remembered in life? Would you like to be remembered just as being a wife, a mother? What legacy will you leave behind when you leave your body? Would you just like to be someone that they will put a beautiful picture and a plastic garland in their living room and said, I had the best mother and the best wife? What would you like to be remembered? Or would you also, whilst living in your family, do something for the higher Supreme, for the Supreme, for God? Would you give something of your life towards Him? And I thought that question was very important. It was there and then that I took a decision that I would definitely inculcate meditation as a lifestyle and meditation to be able to serve God. So in the beginning, the disciplines were not so easy, but like living in a family, you had the intention to keep the family and to keep God with you. That was very clear in my mind. So once you wanted to keep the family with you and you had to adopt to certain disciplines, waking up early in the morning, changing your diet. The children in the household at that time was non-vegetarian, and my kids literally thrive on McDonald's as part of their weekly routine. But because it was a young family, we were able to adopt quite easily on the vegetarian side of food. And the one thing very good I love about Raj Yoga meditation, and this is in all the centers around the world, by the way, they have their own disciplines, yes, but they never forced you to follow those disciplines. So you move up at your own speed. And this is why it kept us very comfortable and relaxed. I remember I never pushed my children towards becoming vegetarian. And when we moved to England, my daughter was studying in Switzerland for almost 3-4 years. And she tick-marked in her diet as vegetarian. And I said, are you sure you're going to be vegetarian? And she said, no, I'm going to stay vegetarian. Today, both are married and both are vegetarian, and they have their own families. So when you live in a family, it's very important to understand that meditation as a lifestyle is a path of self-discovery. This path is based on self-realization. It's not a hike in the park that we say, oh, let's go for a walk together. Let's go as a couple, let's go on a diet together. It wasn't that. So you know that this path was a path, imposed upon the selves. But because you are living in a family, whatever changes you want to put across, you have to put it on the table with them so that they're not frightened. They're not frightened. And when you want to create changes in the family, you can't, we do what you call love, the balance of love and law. In the sense, rules and regulations apply at schools and at government level. But at home, you can't apply a law. At home, you give love first. So once they experience the love is the same, the companionship is the same, it's the same mom and dad, then you tell them, we need to be a vegetarian, and I'm going to get up a little bit early. I'm not going to be home around the weekend because I'm taking a seminar session on how to do meditation, how to teach meditation. The children were not frightened. So you put everything on the table, and this tact or this kind of tactfulness, I think, helps a lot when you are, using meditation as a lifestyle and living with a family. Right, Girish? What do you think?
Yes.
Thank you, Meelu. Coming back to Girish now. Girish, with business as your background and a trustee of the organization for more than 30 years, how do you balance your personal work and spiritual charitable work?
It's a very good question, Jabin.
Sorry, Girish, I'm going to cut you before you start. We are having a little problem. Your voice is a little low and not very audible.
Okay.
If you could.
Is it okay now? Is it okay now?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
Is it full? Thanks for the good question, Jabin. Well, you see, when you say about balance, balance comes in play when you have to consciously balance something. So today, if you have your own child, you would never say that I cannot think of my child after evening time or at a certain time. The child is in your consciousness, subconsciousness all the time. So same way for me, the spiritual work which I do for the organization is actually in my blood. It's blended within the consciousness. So there is no need of creating a balance as such, but obviously one has to pay attention to personal work, to family work, and to the spiritual work or whatever voluntary work we can do. So in that way, what I've seen is that what has helped me a lot, I do get almost 100 to 150 emails every day. And the way I have managed to balance it is by making sure that what needs to be attended immediately is done on the same day. And then they are categorized as something which can be kept for a short while, something which can be kept for long term. And there are certain things which are strategy, which need a lot of thinking and planning, that can be kept on hold till the time is there when you commit to doing it. So this is the way I've been able to create the balance between my spiritual life and the business life both. Okay, we missed you, baby. Your voice has gone.
Yes, sorry about that. One more question, Girish. Businesses are affected due to this pandemic. Job cuts are happening, income loss, all these have an obvious effect on our mind, health, and relationships. What are some guidelines to stay positive in this current state?
See, the guidelines which I can share from my own personal experience are just a few which I try to adopt. Number one, when you talk about income is always connected to expense. Without expense, income has no meaning. So same way, if you look at your expenses, then you know which are the expenses which can be curtailed, which can be reduced. Some expenses can be completely closed. So once you can look at your expenses, so automatically you can then look at the income, which can be reduced if need be, and accordingly you can curtail your expenses if need be. So the main thing is that first thing I would do is look at the expense part of it and make sure that we only do that expenditure which is the most essential. And income part of it would be that we really cannot do much of the income part because that's the way things are, that's the way the pandemic has created. But the second other practice, which I think would be very, very beneficial, which I've done, is that in my mind, I always practice that if one door will close, the other door will open. So if we keep this in mind, that one door will close, other door will open, because God is looking after us. And that's why you will have a second door always opening to yourself. And the third thing which I would like to share is that you have to have faith in anything you believe in. You don't have to be in Brahma Kumaris, you don't have to be following a certain path or a certain guru. You can have faith in anything or anyone you want. It can be any spiritual practice you do. But if you keep that faith and on a daily basis, you have a vision that your faith is going to move you and take you across this particular time, then you'll be able to easily overcome this particular situation.
Thank you. Once again, back to Meelu. Meelu, you're known as a dynamic speaker, a motivational speaker. How did that come about?
Thank you so much. Very sweet of you to say that. I have to say that my credit, really, my personal thanks goes to my principal at school in Jakarta, Mr. Viram. He was the first one who would tell me when we had once a program for parents on school day, parents and children. And he told me, he said, you have a pleasant face and a good voice. So I'd like you to take this piece of paper and be the one that announce all the program. So I told him, I said, sir, I've never done this before. I don't know. He said, no, I want you to go ahead and do it. So I took courage, and I found that it was very, very comfortable. I was happy to be in front of the audience. Everybody was very encouraging, and therefore I was, greatly motivated to do better. And then he put me as what you call a student body president. There was a kind of, sessions in our school in Jakarta. So at that time, that was where I started then public speaking in front of the whole audience in the school. And then when I joined college at Sophia in Mumbai, there I stood as a student body president. I didn't win, but then I began to, then canvass or lobby at a much larger crowd of the entire college. So that gave me a lot of confidence. I guess some people are born with a golden spoon or a silver spoon in their mouths. I think I was born with a mic, and I think I have to say that for Girish also, because I think he too loves singing. So, the mic is this one common thing between us. And Jabin, I love people. I really love people. The more life the audience, the more I somehow tune in better with them. For me, when I'm in front of people, they become my friends. I don't see them as somebody very, very different. They're very much part of my friend, and I sort of own the stage at that time. So I love public speaking, and I had to credit that to my teacher, my principal. But to be what you call a self-motivated, to be a motivational speaker, you yourself have to be greatly motivated. And yes, we have wonderful company at the Brahma Kumari centers. We have great speakers there. But I think in this day and age, you cannot afford not to stay motivated, not because of competition, but because you owe yourself a responsibility for your own happiness. The YouTube today is full of different topics, right from astrology, astronomy, to public speaking, to how to make yourself positive. And how I managed to stay positive or stay motivated is that I make this wonderful group of friends on my YouTube. And for the past 10 years, there's not been a single day that I don't tune into a kind of, knowledgeable site on YouTube. I love hearing Sadhguru. I love hearing The Art of Living, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. I love hearing Joe Dispenza, Joel Austin, Les Brown, Marisa Pearce. Oh gosh, the list could go on. Marie Diamond. These are people, and they are dynamic. And sometimes when I'm getting ready for a social event, I know Girish would put his Bollywood song on and get ready, but I would put these friends of mine on YouTube right up. I will put them there and hear them. So on the other side, you look fine as you are socially, but on this side, you're greatly somewhere, you're highly motivated. And so I have to thank YouTube and all its friends, really, and for staying motivated. That's how I learn to up my skill all the time, create newness all the time.
Sorry, before we continue, I am still getting some messages saying that maybe your mic is a bit too close. So if you could just put your mic a little further, as the voice is a bit unclear. But Meelu, I still have another question for you.
Right.
Currently, during this pandemic period, the world's energy is quite low and people are fearful and in a negative mode. How do we keep ourselves in a hopeful and positive frame of mind?
Yeah. Is this clear now? Is this better?
I think that's better, yeah.
This is better?
Yeah, I would just like to request somebody to drop the message just to double check.
If this is better and you can hear me, can you just drop Jabin a line?
Yeah.
Is this okay? You're all right? You can hear me this far?
Yes, now it's good.
Okay. Yes, Jabin, you are right. The pandemic has taken people not just physically in terms of income, but also mentally. You don't take the pandemic lightly because it is a serious issue. We have to observe the rules and regulations that are set out by the government or the community for our own safety, but also for the safety of all others. But at the same time, apart from that, you have to take care of yourself as a self-responsible citizen. And you owe it to yourself to keep yourself safe for sure and your family safe. So don't take the pandemic lightly at all. Now, out there, every day you hear statistics in different countries about the pandemic, here in the UAE, everywhere around the world. I would encourage you not to send this pandemic WhatsApps to everyone, because everyone is so clever and self-educated and have their own ways of finding solution to end their pandemic. And also to be quite sympathetic, because there are families that you know who have suffered, who have experienced a loss of their loved ones and their family due to COVID. So we need to be very sympathetic about that. And the other thing that I must add, when you are afraid and your mind is negative, for sure your immunity is low. For sure it's low. So it's very important to bring some joy into your life. Love what you do, see what you like, talk only things that are positive. Social distance doesn't mean emotional distance. So when you connect with friends, emotionally or socially, try not to talk about the pandemic. Try to talk anything else, the newness that they created whilst they are in this situation. Share what they did, what timetable they went across, how they changed their lifestyle, what newness came across, and you will see you bring about a positive energy. I would like to share with you, and let me know if this is okay, Jabin. I'd like to share with you an experiment that I do every single day as part of a 2 minutes meditation. Shall I share that?
Yes, please.
So what I want my friends to do, who are our viewers here today, is sort of to take a relaxed seat. I want you all to just sit comfortably and very, very relaxed. Take a couple of deep breaths. You're not in any hurry at all. The next 2 minutes are just for me. Breathe in and breathe out. There's nothing to focus, nothing to remember. Just breathe in and breathe out. Relax. Going 5, 4, 3, more and more relax. 2 and 1. My body is completely relaxed. I want you to visualize a beautiful spotlight as if on a stage. This spotlight is a soft and blue healing light. You are invited to come into the spotlight. From your chair, you will visualize standing up, walking towards this beautiful tube of blue and white healing light, with your foot lifted, and step into this light. The moment you step into this light, visualize circles of sparkling light right from your feet round to your torso, to your shoulders, and to your head. This is the healing light of the universe, the healing light of God. And from your head to your shoulders, almost like a scanning machine, for several seconds, allow this powerful, beautiful healing light to move up and down from your bottom of your toes to your head. And now say to yourself, very simply, My body is strong. My mind is powerful. I am a peaceful soul. I am safe. I am safe. My body is strong. I am a peaceful soul. I have a great immunity. I am safe. I am safe. Allow yourself for a couple of seconds to feel these vibrations of God's light, of the light of the universe, descending, ascending into your body, into every pore of your skin. You are safe, you are blessed, you are protected. Now, very gently, waking up to 1, 2, and 3. Open your eyes, come back into the awareness of where you're standing. Walk out of the beam of light. Go back to your chair. 2 and 1. Welcome back, everybody.
That was beautiful, Meelu. That is, I think, so essential for us to practice on a daily basis. Okay, my next question is to Girish again. Girish, on a personal note, what are some of the things you have adopted to stay resilient in these uncertain times?
Well, you see, a few of the things which I think one needs to do, I'll share with you 3 or 4 key points. One is the environment. The environment you work in has to be as clean as possible and as uncluttered as possible. So one is the environment which you work in, that should be practiced. The second thing I would say is that you have to have the consciousness of gratitude, because when you are working from home, especially home these days, not so much from the office, your only window to the world is the computer or the mobile phone you use to connect to your customers or to connect to people. And before you start your day, you have to give gratitude to that piece of equipment which you're going to use, which connects you to the world. So that's the second thing I would practice, is the gratitude to the tools of science which are going to help you in connecting to the world. The third thing which I would like to mention is your mentality or your consciousness of work. If you want to be successful, you have to think that you're the boss. Even if you are working as an employee for someone else, you have to think like you're a boss. Because if you think you're the boss, you will do things which are of benefit to the person or to the company you work for or to the activity you do. And if your bosses don't take notice of that, your clients will surely take notice of that. So you will always get rewarded if you ensure that your mentality has to be such that you should feel that I'm the owner of whatever I'm doing, I'm taking responsibility for that, and I will do it correctly. And the last thing I would like to share is the practice of meditation. The practice of meditation, it can be in a form of prayer. It can be in form of anything. It could be in form of music. It could be in form of a song. Because what happens is that we as a body are full of vibrations. And our whole biology, physics, chemistry is only of vibrations. So when this soul or the mind connects with any exterior, superior being, whether it's through chanting, whether it's through music, whether it's through a prayer, whether through your own meditation, it automatically attracts and changes your vibrations within. So this is a practice which I would recommend for one to do as much as possible.
Thank you, Girish. I think what you said, the point that you said we should have gratitude towards the technology that we are using is so important, because I myself should accept this, that I don't do that. So this is definitely a good input that you have given us. Based on what you were just saying, I have another question, Girish. Many are still working from home as many countries are still under lockdown. Is it essential to have a work environment set up at home?
Yes, as I said earlier, the home environment is very much necessary. Number one, if you're working from home, I do that. You have to get ready at the same time where you would normally get ready. If you went to work outside, you would wear the same clothes. Wearing the correct clothes for the task is very important because, as you know, a doctor wears their own coat, an army uniform has a difference, a police person working has his uniform. A uniform carries a change of consciousness. Similarly, if you're working from home, you have to first of all make sure that you get up at the same time, you get ready the same way, you get ready with the same clothes which you normally wear to work, and I would even go to the extent to say wear your shoes and be at home and practice the same timings which you have to work with, and ensure that even if you cannot have a room to yourself, even if you have a space in a corner of a room, it's fine. You can make that corner as your office, put on your headphones if you have a lot of people disturbing you, and still carry out your work. So this is where I feel it's very, very important to practice this while working from home.
So it's like creating that atmosphere, even though if you are home, that is what motivates you, what I understand from what you're sharing.
Yes, that's why it's called working from home, working from office, working from home.
Okay, now back to Meelu. Meelu, meditation in a group dynamic and meditating by yourself, what is the difference in experience?
Like I mentioned before, meditation is a path of self-discovery. So in that path of self-discovery, one of the most important
Sorry, it seems like we got disconnected again. Please bear with us. Sorry, Meelu, we got disconnected. Could you repeat that again?
Yeah, meditation. When you are beginning as beginners as a meditation, it's important that you keep a distance from the next person who is meditating, because when you meditate, you are beginning to emit energy or vibrations into the air. Likewise, the person next to you, if you're meditating in a group or in a small or large group, it also emanates vibration. But if they yawn, then you're likely to yawn. If they head down and fall asleep, their sleepy vibrations will come on to you. Unless, of course, you become very powerful, strong meditator that you can change their vibrations into, into an alert state. So in the beginning, I would suggest that you practice in solitude by yourself and keeping a little distance until you're comfortable in a group setup. Now, meditating as a group dynamic is very powerful, very powerful. You know, I remember a story of a very famous film star, and his name is Amitabh Bachchan. When he fell very ill, millions and millions of people went out on the street to pray and meditate and offer candles in his name. And this dynamic energy of people meditating, praying together generates a very powerful force. This powerful force of dynamic collective meditation is a force that goes so upward into the vibration and then spread completely out completely out. Let's just say in a group of 100 people meditating, 50 are powerful meditators and 50 are beginners and mediocre meditators. Now, this powerful 50 meditators can absolutely support the other 50. So the other 50 that are mediocre meditators or beginners at meditators will suddenly feel it's very easy to connect to themselves, it's very easy to connect to God. Then generally this one powerful force of everyone now in the same mood, in the same vibration, gathers into such a strength. Many research and scientific research have been proven by monks meditating in hundreds and thousands that the area where they are meditating, the space that they are meditating, they reported less crime in that area. They reported a kind of feeling of less depression in that people in that area. So when you meditate as a group dynamic, it's very powerful, because a force gathers together and go out. So the peaceless ones out there get some kind of peace and they don't understand from where it's coming. And the one that is hopeless finds some kind of hope to go on in life. The one who have no courage develops some kind of courage. It's as if being sent by some angel somewhere. And this is the dynamic of group meditation. Here in Dubai, in the Raj Yoga Center, always, even now, even online, requests all their students to connect together and meditate even online. And I'm sure this happens everywhere else in all the centers around the world. So yes, group dynamic makes a lot of difference, but practice in solitary. Enjoy first in solitary, become powerful meditator, and then come into the group.
One more question, Meelu. In this day and age of techno learning and self-education, is it still important to adopt a guru or a teacher to learn meditation? In the olden days, we had spiritual gatherings or what we call satsangs and personal meetings, but times have changed. What are your views on this?
Definitely the online system is the new norm now. It's the new normal. It's not just offices that Zoom. It's not companies that go into geo meetings. For sure, it's now housewives, families are Zooming in together, YouTubing. The online is the way forward. But when a master meditator or when a guru comes in front of you live, these masters, being in that same space as you, emanate a very powerful energy. I remember a fabulous scene one day I saw on television. I think it was just before Christmas that I saw in St. Mark's Square in Venice, when thousands and thousands of people come together to wait for the Pope to come from the balcony to bless them all. I was just thinking how so many thousands and thousands of them come with different problems in their life. They wait for this glimpse of about 10 minutes, words from the Bible, from the Pope, words of great comfort, words of God. And when he appears into the scene, and that balcony, tremendous dead silence come across the audience. Everybody who came there with so much of their problems felt that they were being blessed, felt that their problems were being lifted. So this is what happens when you come into the energy field of a living master. And therefore, meditating online is great, but it's different from a life experience. And also the ashrams where meditation takes place, or the ashrams where students come together, the bonding sessions between the students of like-mindedness with same interest in meditation is very different. Very different. And you will gravitate and make friends like that, towards those who love to meditate, those who love to sing will find their own companions, those who love to cook will find their own companions. So the bonding session that takes place in ashrams or places of pilgrimage have tremendous power. Always remember that there is power in the land. If there is power in the place that you live in, if there is power in the temples that you go to, if there is power in the prayer room that you have, imagine how much power the land will have, where meditation and where the saints and sages actually walk on or lived at one time or are living. So for sure, definitely make pilgrimages to these places because they have a great impact. Until the pandemic period is there, well, Zooming, YouTubing, online is the new normal. But it's different when it's live. So experience both if you can. Why not?
Thank you. Now I'm going to move to Girish again. Girish, your hobby is music and singing. How do you make time to have recreational activities? And I do hope before we end today's session, you will sing for all of us a song of your choice.
Thank you. Sure. I will, yes, before we end the program, whenever you're finishing, let me know. I will sing a very short song. What I'd like to share about recreational activities or hobbies, it's a hobby. It's not your main life. They are hobby, they are recreational, they are supposed to recreate you and your mind. So you don't need a lot of time for that. You could even have 10, 15 minutes in a day, and that's also sufficient for you to energize yourself. Because what happens, as I said earlier, is that our body is made of various different elements which are all vibrating. And there's something known as harmonics. Harmonics is when vibrations are in harmony with each other. And advanced harmonics is when you have connected to an advanced source which creates a special vibration within you. So in that same way, if you have any hobby, say it could be painting, it could be poetry, it could be watching movies, it could be singing, it could be listening to music, or just doing anything which pleases you, if you do that just for a few minutes, then it energizes yourself because it connects you to a different set of vibrations which then impact your whole body. So I would strongly recommend everyone to practice a few minutes or whatever you like to do. It's the same way we were brought up with. That's why the title of today's program is very apt, Ancient Wisdom. Ancient wisdom, forefathers used to always start their day with prayers, or they would have small temples at home. And in every tradition, a prayer is a must in the mornings, a gratitude of thanks. So even by doing that for a few minutes, it raises your own vibration of happiness and peace to take you throughout the day.
Thank you, Girish. Back to Meelu. Meelu, the path of spirituality is a steep and slippery one. It has ups and downs. How do we keep our stability?
Yeah. Yes, the path of spirituality is very slippery, and we have to have some mechanisms, some tools, so that we, become anti-slip and we don't slip. Yes. For sure, one of the best ways when you slip, and you can slip by accident because you're influenced. You can slip in spirituality because you then got attracted to something, or you had a certain weaknesses in your life, and those weaknesses pulled you, and you lost your bearings, and you moved out of spirituality for some time, and you want to come back. One of the best ways to always remain anti-slip, or when so that you don't slip often, and you have a way to come back, is your discipline. go back to the discipline again and again, whether it's discipline of getting up in the morning, whether it's discipline of study. And we have today the liberty of studying things online. We get everything online. So definitely going back to spiritual discipline is the way you come back, climb back again. Second thing is keeping good company. And for this, if you have great set of friends from whom you can take support, where you can share things in your mind, things in your heart, and you have senior teachers that you can share that with, you have mentors that you can share these ideas with, then yes, you can come back into the path of spirituality very easily. And the most important thing is that disheartenment. You know, people say out there that worse than the worst heart disease is what you call disheartenment. When you give up hope on yourself, that's probably the worst thing that you can do. So come back up, you know, like the phoenix, you rise back from the ashes. Come back with a specialty that you have. If you are special in cooking, come back into that discipline of cooking. If you are, your specialty is music, you come back to it. If your specialty is teaching, you go back to it without shame. And self-forgiveness is very important because the world out there is not forgiving. The world out there tries to remind you all the time where you slip, how much you fell. So it is up to you and your responsibility to climb up again. It's very important for you to become brave, not disheartened. Collect your skill, gather your strength, and just move on. And you know, in the olden days, there's a story, a beautiful story of Sita, this princess who was you know, into exile in the forest, and the husband was going out somewhere, and he drew a line to say, don't cross the line. If you cross the line, you know, you could be taken away by the thieves in the jungle. And of course, she got attracted, like most of us got attracted. So there are innocent influences out there, innocent influences that can make you move and cross the line. But don't be disheartened. Come back to it with your skill, renewed energy, fearlessness, courage, good company, and make yourself happy. Find a way to make yourself happy, because happiness is extremely powerful. So this would be my suggestion.
Meelu, one last question. It's a bit personal. As you both follow the same path, what would you say is Girish's spiritual strength?
Well, I'm going to be nice. I hope you're going to be nice too. So yeah, I think first of all, I can't thank God enough really on this path of spirituality to find a person like Girish, who also in his own path of self-discovery, you know, has managed to be my companion on this path of spirituality also. I find that a great sense of relief and gratitude to the universe for that. And this makes things much easier. But if I was to pick one or two qualities of Girish's spiritual strength, now let me just see his vibrations for now. I would think that it has to be his humility. Girish is very humble. He's very humble. And because he's very humble, I find it very easy to work with him. And people also find it very easy to work with him. So I think humility is one of his spiritual strengths, and patience, I must say. He has tremendous patience. And we are like what you call, I would say, fire and ice. And I think you can guess very easily who is the fire and who is the ice. So definitely I am the fire. I get very excited over simple ideas, over enthusiastic, and he's the one that sort of cool down, calm down, it will happen, it will be okay. So I guess it would be that, humility and patience.
I think you got it spot on. I so agree with that. Now, Girish, I have asked Meelu the same question. It's only fair if I ask you too. What would be Meelu's spiritual strength?
Well, I would say that I could say that there are at least many spiritual strengths, but there are three special qualities of her, which I do find are as an example to me as well and to others. First is that she never misses meditation, whether it's early morning meditation or meditation later on in the day. She will make sure that wherever she is, whatever she is, even if we've gone out for a late night event, and we may come back home even at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning from a wedding or from a party, she will make sure that she will meditate before she sleeps. So that is one thing which I take from her as a source of strength, is a ability and the power and the determination to meditate. Then second thing which I think is a source of inspiration as well is that wherever she is in the world, she would never miss her spiritual lecture. So, which we call the Murli. It could be, even if we don't have Murli in hand to be able to read it, she would make sure that she would read something of spiritual significance, which would alter her thinking. So that's the second thing which I think is very, very good in her. And she's brave, she's not afraid to fail, she's not afraid to try something new. And I also find that she is a source of motivation for the family. So she would motivate the family and friends, whoever comes to her, with anything they'd like to discuss. And she makes sure she gives them and empowers them to face a better situation or challenges which they might be passing through. These are the key good qualities.
Thank
always.
you.
I think both of you are so good together as a pair. You both complement each other so well. And I'm sure you must be an inspiration to many who know you. Thank you so much once again. It has been a pleasure to have you both sharing your wisdom and your journey with us today. We have a lot of messages that have been sent to me privately telling me to please thank you both and say hi. A lot of them, they're too long, too many to read. But yeah, I'm so glad that you both, without, like I said, without thinking twice, you just, when we approached you and both of you agreed. So I would like to request now Girish to sing for us a song of his choice before we end the session.
Okay.
Thank you.
किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो दे उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है। किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो दे उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है। माना अपनी जेब से फकीर है, फिर भी यारो दिल के हम अमीर हैं। माना अपनी जेब से फकीर है, फिर भी यारो दिल के हम अमीर हैं। मिटी जो प्यार के लिए वो जिंदगी, चली बहार के लिए वो जिंदगी, किसी के हो न हो हमें तो एतबार, जीना इसी का नाम है। रिश्ता दिल से दिल के एतबार का, जिंदा है हमी से नाम प्यार का। रिश्ता दिल से दिल के एतबार का, जिंदा है हमी से नाम प्यार का। कि मर के भी किसी को याद आएगी, किसी के आंसुओं में मुस्कुराएगी। कहेगा फूल हर कली से बार बार, जीना इसी का नाम है। किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तुझे उधार। किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है।
Thank you once again. What a beautiful song. Very nice. The lyrics are beautiful, and more than anything else, your voice is just so melodious. It's always nice to hear you sing. So we do hope, all of us here, that we will be seeing you both soon in Jakarta, and we can have once again a live session with all of you. And we will be having another session on coming Saturday, 11th of July at 4 p.m. Jakarta time. Do drop me a message. It will be with a speaker from UK. She is a very brilliant speaker. Her name is Manda Patel. She will be talking about facing the future without fears. So I've dropped my number on the chat box. Do send me a message so that all of you can get updated. And thank you very much for joining us today. Meelu and Girish, there are a few questions that have been dropped on the message on the chat box, but unfortunately, due to shortage of time, I am not able to address it to you. However, I will send it to them by email and pass the answers back to those who have. I've taken note of the questions, and I will send you all the answers once I get the answers from Meelu and Girish. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day. Thank you. Bye-bye.